Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Get in Tune. I am Michael Gracia, and I have a wonderful show. It's a special night. It was the only night that we can work it out, which is fine. I love doing this show. Love talking to anybody about comics, art, you name it. So we're gonna have a blast tonight. But before I bring on my guests, I got two of them tonight. They have a really cool Kickstarter up. Just a couple of news pieces. Number one, yesterday I did Yonkers Comic Con, and I was at the library, Yonkers Library, and it was a fantastic show. Had a lot of fun. Talked on a panel. Talked about how I got into comics. Gave some very interesting questions, and I'm noticing right now, while it's big, you're seeing one of my drawings up there that I really don't want people seeing right now. So just give me 1 second. You're gonna look at comic books instead. Sorry, people don't need to be seeing that right now. I fell on the floor. Who cares? All right, sorry about that, guys. You can go look at the superheroes there. Anyway, so what I really loved was finally, I always talk about Zorro's exploits because, number one, I did 2 stories in here, number 2, illustrated, but number 2, Zorro is my favorite character, and this is one of my happiest moments of projects I ever got to work on. Now, I did actually finally sell out of all my books except for the couple I saved for myself here. And I have a new set on its way, so I was excited for that. Did some fun artwork for a few people. Sold a bunch of prints. I mean, listen, it was really a blast, that show. I got to hang out with some friends, meet a bunch of new people. It's something that what was I going to say? Something that I hope to do again. Anyway, I got my next show, GameCon Live, in Oaks, PA, coming up on October 11th and 12th, which is also New York Comic Con weekend. So if you're going to be there, go to that. But anyway, let's get to our guests tonight. They have a really great Kickstarter. It's called Brother Bones, and I believe it's the Undead Event. Yeah, Undead Avenger. So let's bring on the 2 people behind it. And if I mess up your name, I'm sorry. I had it right off there. Ron Fortier and Joseph Arnold. And
hi,
hello.
Howdy.
Hey. And Joseph will be drawing, which makes me want to draw.
We'll draw together sometime.
No, we'll totally do. I have. I just haven't drawn today yet. I was so exhausted from doing the show and not sleeping much last night. Woke up too early that I ended up sleeping for a good hour and a half later throughout the day, and I just didn't feel like doing anything. So, first of all, thank you guys for coming on. When I saw the advertisement, Ron, we're connected on social media, and when I saw you post, I'm like, this looks really cool. And as soon as I saw it, I wrote to you. So before we get into Brother Bones, can each of you, we'll start with Ron, if you could tell me a little bit about yourself for those in the audience who don't know who you are, what you do, how you got into, doing what you do, and then we'll go with Joe.
Okay. Basically, I'm a comic book writer. That's what I tell people. And I have been doing that professionally for well over 50 years now.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lifetime. It's an amazing thing. And I've had the opportunity to work with some of the best artists in the business, to work on a lot of great licensed properties.
Mm-hmm.
20 some odd years ago, after all this comic book work, I got this bug to check out pulp fiction. Mm-hmm. I'd always been familiar with the concept of what pulp fiction was. All right. I mean, you get into comics and you do your homework and research, the history of comics in America. You soon understand that they came out of the pulps of the 30s and 40s during the Great Depression. So they're related. I call them cousins, if you will. All right. A lot of the Long John heroes that we have were predicated by characters like the Shadow, the Spider, Doc Savage, and all the others. And you can
Absolutely.
see that. You can see the connections.
Yeah.
So 20 some odd years ago, I went to a pulp convention just out of curiosity. You know, these things are still going on after all the time. And lo and behold, it was a show in Dayton, Ohio, Pulp Con. It had been around for 35 years. And I soon realized, I mean, literally, they had over 100 vendors and 60 attendees. Okay? I'm in the 50s. I'm the youngest guy there. All right. The average age is all 80s, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And all they're selling are these magazines that are so yellowed and falling apart, all right, unless they're facsimile reprints. But there's nothing new. And I mean, I left that weekend with this thought, unless somebody gives this fandom a shot in the arm, in another 10, 15 years, pulp fandom's going to be gone. That's it. I mean, really. So I called Rob Davis, a professional graphic artist who's been in the business as long as I have. He's worked for Malibu, DC, Marvel, whatever, and was basically semi-retired now. And I gave Rob a call and told him about the experience at the pulp convention. And he's like, okay, so what are you thinking? And I said, you know, wouldn't it be cool to hit up our network of creators that we've met over the 50 years doing comics, writers and artists and whatever, and get them to write and illustrate new stories featuring classic pulp characters from the 30s and 40s that have gone into public domain and that you don't have to pay a penny for. To basically put the spotlight on the B characters that most people don't know and bring them back in brand new adventures. All right. Not change the setting, still 1930s backgrounds and whatever. And from that discussion came Airship 27 production. And so basically for the last, you know, over 22, 23 years now, I've been the editor of Airship 27 production. We've been publishing pulp novels, what we call new pulp novels and anthologies featuring classic characters like Secret Agent X, Domino Lady, the Purple Scar, the Moon Man, characters you probably never heard of before, but bringing them back and going to pulp conventions. And within, I say, 2 or 3 years of Airship 27 coming on the scene, other of our colleagues started mimicking us, copying us, so that now you've got maybe 15 publishers of new pulp out there. And the pulp conventions are getting bigger, attracting more people, especially young people who get fascinated by the books that we do, then want to go collect the old stuff and see the originals from the 30s and 40s. All right. And somehow, amidst doing this every day, our catalog at Amazon now, Mike, is well over 300 titles.
Wow.
Not bad for a little hobby between two old comic book guys. You know what I'm saying?
No, not at all. Not at all. Okay. And let me just say this. I've been to a couple of pulp shows, and I had a blast at both of them. I walked one, and I tabled at another. And, you know, I did have a lot of fun at both. I'm one of those people who, I don't remember how it started, but somehow I got into public domain characters. I always kind of had a thing for them, even though I create my own stuff. I think what happened was I was researching stuff so my characters didn't fall under like maybe copyright infringement, and I started discovering all these other characters out there, and I'm like, oh wow, I can use these. So I became a huge fan and supporter of public domain characters, comics, and the like, and that kind of helped me, you know, when I started moving away. I started with a comic called Plunger Pup that was my own, about a dog who fought crime with a magic plunger, and so I did a lot of like animal cartoony stuff. But when I was moving more into like I want to do heroes and things like that, that's when my discovery of all this started. Yeah, I didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't know about your company until, you know, I think we connected on social media because of I'm in New York. I don't think I don't know if your stuff ever, like conventions I went to was ever there, but
Yeah, we were doing two major pulp conventions. Originally, we were doing Windy City Paper and Pulp, which takes place in Chicago in the spring. And at the time that we got into the field and created Airship 27, there was also a second one in the fall, which was the old Pulp Con that had morphed into what they call Pulp Fest.
Okay.
All right. And that was taking place in Columbus.
Okay.
But then a few years back, like 6 years ago, they moved that to Pittsburgh. And it literally made it impossible for us, I mean, economically, to attend that show because Rob, again, my artist buddy, who was the art director of Airship 27, I'm the general manager, basically lives in Missouri. And it's Columbus was within that 8 hour to 10 hour driving, so he could bring our stock. But the minute they went to Pittsburgh, it was a case of we'd have to spend an overnight someplace between, Missouri and there, et cetera, and it just became economically unfeasible. But we still do Windy City every year, and it's gotten bigger and bigger. And like I said, there are a whole lot more people doing new pulp today, which is absolutely great, which is absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Wow. Well, we're going to talk a lot in a moment. I want to hear a bit about Joseph Arnold, who's sitting there drawing Brother Bones. And if you could tell us about yourself, how you got into the industry, things like that.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Arnold. After getting out of the military, went to Art Institute. I was trying to take animation and some other work, and living in northern Colorado, I ended up with Ron through the Split Room, so a bunch of creators just talking shop and talking about comic book kind of stuff.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're kind of breaking up on my end here. I don't know if Ron, you're hearing it.
Yeah, I'm getting the same thing.
I'm getting like every other.
A little better now or no?
Do say something again.
Is it a little better now?
Yeah, that's a little better.
Okay. I don't know if I can adjust my microphone.
I don't know. And I'm having a little static still on my end. I don't know what that's from.
Yeah, I don't know if it's coming from me. This is probably.
I'm sorry.
No, not working. Shut this down and. How is it now?
I hear you much better. I still have a very little static coming on, but I don't think it's anything that will be interrupting what you have to say.
Okay. Are we a little better now? Test, 1, 2.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Try something here for my static. I'm just wondering if one of my fans is blowing into the mic.
Yeah, I just shut my door to my AC.
I think you upped the volume enough, Joe. I'm hearing you a lot better.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I flipped my system here.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Let's try that again.
All right, no worries. I was just saying, after getting out of the military, moving to northern Colorado, ended up getting linked up with the Comic Clutch crew, which is kind of a monthly meeting where Ron and some other comic industry vets would talk with the young folks about back in the old days and kind of talk about projects, and we would all discuss the things we're working on and talk shop. So got linked up with Ron, and I'd actually done a short Brother Bones piece for another publication quite a long time ago. I always loved the character Brother Bones and wanted to keep working on that, and done a bunch of projects in between, but kind of wanted to really get this one going. And I approached Ron and talked to him about, actually he tells the story better, but asked him how things were going with Brother Bones and if there was something we could work on.
Nice. And let me just ask, because I see you drawing who are like what got you into drawing? Who were some of your inspirations that got you to drawing comics?
For me, I think when I was younger, picking up I'd always gotten comics from flea markets when my parents would go look for whatever they were looking for. There's always like the bin somewhere where they just dropped me off, and I would go through the old comics and kind of pick a few out. But the first time I actually realized that they were drawn by people and that it was an actual job you could do was there's a Nightwing issue drawn by Scott McDaniel, written by Chuck Dixon, and just the artwork blew me away. It was a little more modern and new for the day, and inside Nightwing jumped around and fought people and danced around like Jackie Chan, jumping in and out of a car and stuff, and I was really movies, and it all just cool time. Then of course Jim Lee, Joe Mad, all the other greats too. Loving those guys, and then kind of researching older artists as well, like Alex Toth. And I got in a book from it's pretty much the sketchbook, Steve Rude sketchbook that was also really informative. So I used that a lot to pretty much anatomy lessons and learning how to make characters and make them move.
Yeah, no, I you just named two artists I'm a huge fan of, Alex Toth and Steve Rude. I actually just received his new book that he put out. When I do was it yesterday?
Yeah.
The how to draw thing that it was. I forgot the title. It's like drawing the human figure. Yeah. I still have it. I put it back in the box, so I don't ruin it right now until I find the place in this messy studio for it. But I also want to say I love that you're drawing on a clipboard with a like if you want to call it pocket. I have the same. I don't not the same one, but I use the same thing, and I love it. Growing up for me, the first time I got paper, my dad, it wasn't a sketchbook. My dad just gave me a bunch of paper on a clipboard, and that's how I drew as a child. So I can't draw in sketchbooks. So I always find it interesting watching people draw like that because I'm like, wow, that's just what I do,
everything anyway, I can put all my tools in it. So
what I started doing is I have a little cup that I carry around the house from room to room, and I I throw paper in there. But
exactly.
But yeah, it's amazing. I love watching that. So, Ron, Brother Bones was your creation, correct?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. So can you tell us how you came up with Brother Bones?
Sure. Again, going back to this, it goes back to the start of Airship 27. I'd created other characters for some of my comic works over the years. But once Rob and I were publishing Airship 27 and working with all these writers and artists, again, as I mentioned earlier, we launched a company doing stories of classic pulp characters. Okay. Now, this goes well for 5 or 6 years when some of these guys start writing, some of the girls working for us, about, hey, can we create new pulp characters? And I said, by all means, as long as they fit that, that feel, that sensibility of the pulps, that they're set in the 30s and 40s, all right, go to it. And suddenly we're getting new pulp heroes that we're publishing. And at one point, Rob, in a phone conversation, we're having a business call one day, and he said, are you going to write anything for the company? And I go, you know what? I said, I've been giving that a little thought. I says, let me get back to you. All right. So what comes from that conversation is I've always loved the Masked Avengers, the Spider, the Shadow, right? Those characters. And I thought it'd be fun to do an homage to them. But at the same time, add an element of horror. There's a little bit of that in the Spider, but I wanted to amp it up. All right. So the concept then became, all right, so what if I had a mobster who lived in this fictional city on the Northwest Coast called Cape Noir? All right. His name is Tommy Bonello. He works as the chief mobster of Cape Noir, Topper Wild. And one day, because of his life of crime, he pays the piper. He gets killed. But instead of going to hell He's definitely not going to the other place, right?
Yeah.
Basically, the fates intervene, and he's caught in this limbo where they basically tell him, oh, no, 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 you're going back down there, all right? Because you have to atone for your sins. Suddenly finds himself a living dead man, a zombie, back in Cape Noir. His body's decomposing. He finds the ceramic mask of a skull, puts it over his face, right? And wearing this slouch hat and overcoat, armed with his 45s, he is led by a spirit guide who appears to him every now and then to tell him of innocent people being harmed, hurt, or killed by these villains. And he goes and avenges them, thus becoming Brother Bones, the undead avenger. So once that idea had cemented itself in my head, I started writing short stories of the character, starting with his origin and then other stories. I peppered Cape Noir with this. I mean, to me, Cape Noir is a mashup of two of my favorite cinema loves. All right, one is the Universal classic monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so you're going to find in Cape Noir not only Brother Bones, but you're going to find some vampires. You're going to find some werewolves. All right, a Frankenstein type character. Okay, but the other shoe is basically the old Warner Brothers movies from the 1940s, the gangster movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what this is about: monsters and gangsters. That's what Cape Noir is all about. Over the next 2.5 years, I wrote something like 7 short stories, which appeared in a lot of these new pulp anthologies. At which point, once we had that volume of wordage, Rob came back and said, "Ron, we got to collect this. It's time to collect this," and we did. We put out the first Brother Bones book, which succinctly called Brother Bones: The Undead Avenger, contained those 7 stories, and then we were off and running. And over the last 10 years, I've written 1 novel. I had a fan writer pal who wrote a second novel, plus 4 other collection of short stories, one by other friends of mine who wanted to play in the Cape Noir sandbox. So as of right now, we actually have 6 Brother Bones books available from Amazon.
Wow.
Okay. Now, at the same time, as Joe's talking, I mean, there's no way I'm getting away from comics. I love writing prose. All right. I have a second series I do for Airship 27, which harkens back to what you and I were talking about earlier, this public domain characters.
Yeah.
There was a Doc Savage clone character who popped up in 1938 or no, 1928.
Okay.
Captain Hazard, Champions of Justice. And he was a total ripoff of Doc Savage. He had his own team and whatever, all right? He was a one-hit wonder. He appeared in an issue of his magazine dated in May, and there was never a second issue. So at a pulp convention, I found a facsimile issue, took it home and read it, right, and had a blast with it because it was easy to understand why there was never a second issue. The hack who wrote it did it for the money, right? Just worked it out. I mean, he forgets characters' names from chapter to chapter. There's so many plot holes in this thing, it's ridiculous. So again, here I am writing Brother Bones, and I had this wild idea, and I sat down over a period of a couple months and rewrote that original Captain Hazard novel and fixed all the literary problems, and we published it. All right.
Yeah.
All my friends and colleagues went ape. They knew who this character was. The pulp community did. I have since written 5 other brand new Captain Hazard novels.
Wow.
So again, it's like, it's just, I'm busier now than I've ever been before. But getting back to Brother Bones, in the course of writing all this prose and editing Airship 27, I'm still doing comic work.
Yeah.
And I started writing these short little Brother Bones 7 or 8 pagers and getting some of my friends here in Fort Collins. Like Joe said, we have an amazing artistic and creative community in Fort Collins, made up of comic book professionals and amateurs, and we get together once a month. And so we hook up and do these projects.
Yeah.
I met Joe at one of these, and I believe Mike Barron was the gentleman who brought him to our group. Mike's a member. And in the process of working with Joe, we did a 6-page story called Brother Bones Needle Justice, which Mike drew. Okay. So now time goes on. The Brother Bones books are being done, Captain Hazard. I'm writing other comic projects and whatnot. In the interim, about 7 years ago, I had a small film company come knocking on my door. As it turns out, the two guys who ran this thing from Seattle, Washington, were making short B movies, were both Brother Bones fans.
Cool.
So they wanted to make a Brother Bones film. All right. Well, I worked with one of them, and we started looking at a possible script. Whereas we couldn't, the origin story, which is what obviously they wanted to launch the film with, wasn't going to be enough material for a 90-minute feature.
Okay.
At which point I suggested we use it and the second story, which is the story I mentioned where he goes up against a gangster werewolf.
Yeah.
All right. And I sat down and literally rewrote the scenes and merged both story plots. So they work like one story narrative telling the origin, introducing the characters, and then having this subplot of the werewolf for a big climatic ending to the script. Right? They have the script. They went as far as casting. They had people involved. They were scouting locations. Ultimately, what happened was couldn't get the financing, which is a very familiar story with people trying to make independent films, let me tell you. And so that came to naught, whereas I'm still doing the writing and whatever, and I put that script aside. Okay. I think about a year goes by, and one day I'm cleaning out files from my PC, and I see the script again. And I'm going, oh, what the heck? Okay, I'm not a filmmaker, but you know what? What if I turn this into a graphic novel? Because aside from, the few short comics that I've done with Brother Bones, I've never told his entire origin story as a comic book. It seemed like here I've got the script. So sure enough, within a period of 2.5 weeks, I rewrote the script as a graphic novel.
Okay.
Stuck that back into the files. All right. I would mention it to to artists that I knew over the following months. And I guess another year goes by with nobody taking a bite because the thing's 130 pages long.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. This is where this hooks up. Joe and I are both guests at a convention in Denver, the Rocky Mountain Con, put up by a dear friend of ours, Tim Moret. And Tim set us up so my table's across the aisle from Joe's. So as the con's going on, I think it was Saturday morning, and there's a little lull in it, and Joe's sitting there like he always does at con, busy sketching when fans aren't stopping by and commissioning him or buying stuff. And he looks up at me and he goes, "Hey, Ron," he says, "You got any new projects going?" And I just looked at him. I said, "I got a lot of new projects going. If you want to ask me, what's top of my list?" I said, "I've got a 30-page, Brother Bones graphic novel collecting dust in my files." Okay. So I figured, Joe's going to laugh or I'll get a good chuckle, right? No. Joe looks at me, he goes, "Really?" He goes, Can I read it? I'd like to look at that. He says, "I'd like to work on that." And I went, "You got to be kidding us. Don't be pulling my leg here. Okay. Please just don't be pulling my leg. All right." And he's like, no. Right. And I hadn't realized at the time how much fun he'd had doing that 6-page Needle Justice and the impact and character that had on Joe. All right. Which is, I guess, I'm always the last guy to know this. All right. I mean, I'm the writer guy, and I have so many people tell me how much they love this character, and I'm still surprised by that, honestly. All right. I mean, it's just a throwaway pulp character that I was having fun writing. All right. But there was I have to tell you, Mike, there was a second film company that came along a couple of years later and tried again. So there's some appeal to Bones. I don't know if it's the horror element, the gangster element. I don't know. But after that weekend, I got home and remembered Joe's comments and sent him a digital copy of the script.
Yeah.
He read it over the next couple of days, got back to me and said, "I want to do this." And we were off and running. That was it. I mean, basically said, hey, I want to kickstart this and get it out there. And he said, I love the character and I want to get back to working on it. And I was bowled over, grateful, still am. And here we are in the middle of the Kickstarter program.
Now, I mean, first of all, that's an awesome story. And I love, him just reading it and being like, yes, doing it. He was interested in it. But I got to ask, as an artist, what, Joe, what makes you just say, yeah, I have 130 pages of a book, and knowing how long it takes to produce that, what makes you say, yeah, I'm totally doing this?
Oh, I mean, it is a really cool character. It's a really cool concept. I think building from what it is and like kind of, he almost sells himself. I mean, the character is just, the visual is so cool all on its own, that it's fun regardless. And then I feel like it's a good property that should continue going, and the graphic form of it is definitely. I'm not saying the novels aren't great, but like it's really cool to see the visual impact that he has when you're looking at a comic and you're looking at images. So it definitely hits a bit harder there. 130 pages is a very large amount of pages for any artist. I mean, every artist doing every page, I mean, you would know it can take, I don't know, from 4 to maybe 12 hours, depending on how much work you're doing on each page, how much detail you're doing, and what you're putting into it. So it's definitely a big time investment, but again, the character is just really cool. It's gritty. It's got that the horror element, but then it does have a pulp feel to it. And I mean, when I was young, I watched The Shadow. I like Rocketeer and Phantom were kind of coming out when I was really young and impressionable, and just getting that kind of street level, awesome macabre type work is really, really fun. And I mean, who doesn't like a skull faced, pistol wielding vigilante of justice? So yeah, I think it was all really cool, and it's appealing enough that I didn't really want to let it go.
Nice. I get that. I mean, I have friends who have characters that they show me stuff. I'm like, I got to draw it. I have to do it. But things happen and we haven't. But I have stuff in the works like that. But yeah, no, that's really that you love a character so much, and you just like, I have to do it. I'm just thinking in my head, though, all the work, the commitment, just in that right away. I'm working on a 100-page story that's my own, and I have days where I'm like, why the hell I write this much?
Yep. No, I understand it 100%. Yep.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, that's really, and I gotta say, I'm loving what you're doing here. Now you mentioned, because this is a very Shadow-esque pose here. So you said you were a fan of the Shadow and stuff. Was the movies like your introduction to the idea of pulp characters, whether it was the Shadow movie, the Phantom, which, by the way, to this day, I'm very upset that the Phantom, when I went to see it, there was like 5 people in the theater, and it was opening weekend. It was so sad.
Yeah. They had no clue how to market that. All right. I mean, that movie was amazing.
It's one of my all-time favorite superhero movies.
Yeah, I'll watch that back to back with Rocketeer, and I'm in seventh heaven. Are you kidding?
I have my Link poster behind me there. I love the Legend of Zelda and stuff, but my dream poster is to get the Slam Evil Phantom poster, just to have, and I'll never change it again. Once I have that, behind that's a Lord of the Rings, but once I can get a good copy of that poster will never change. It's the Phantom Slam Evil.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the Alec Baldwin movie was my introduction, and honestly, many years of thinking that was all there was to the story, and then probably only a few years ago, actually really getting more into the older books, and actually mostly listening because I'm doing the illustration work while I'm using my eyeballs, but listening to a bunch of the old Gibson work. And the Phantom radio shows, like it's all online, Spotify, YouTube. You can find all that work, and it's inspiring. And it's all the writing is so, I don't want to say clean, but it's it's frenetic. It's definitely has a different energy to it than a lot of the other evolutions in writing. So there's parts where it's definitely to the point, and then just learning the output of Gibson as well when it comes to how much work he did, and then all the work that was inspired from it. Also, a lot of the similarities, we'll say, of the Batman original few issues and where that all came from with the Shadow.
Yeah.
But yeah, all good things.
Oh, that's awesome. So, and I'm sorry. Sometimes I go quiet because I'm like just watching you draw.
That's
And
fine.
it's honestly one of my favorite things to do. If I'm not drawing, I want to see someone else do it.
No, that's good.
It's just I have a lot of fun with that because first of all, by the way, just curious, what pen are you using? I don't think I've ever seen that pen before.
It's a brush tip pen. It's Tombow. This one has a gray on the backside of it, but I got these in a package where it had a gray. Like this one is a little bit soft. The one I'm using is pretty soft, so I can get some thick and thin lines here.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I also have this. It's actually brush.
Yeah.
I think it's the Pentel.
Yeah. No, I got like 3 of those. That's
Yeah, these are awesome.
I just never saw the other ones. That's cool. I'll have to check out Tombow. I'm always looking for like travel pens.
Yeah, it comes in this pack, and they're pretty. They last a bit, and then pretty decent line quality, and the brush aspect is probably the best part. So yeah.
Nice. I'm gonna pull up the Kickstarter so we can take a look at the Kickstarter page.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me share that. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Oh yeah, and also this was my first Kickstarter that I've built. I've been part of plenty with other people pushing my art on folks. This is the first time that I actually grew the courage to launch and run my own campaign. That is something that I worked on and built a campaign for, and really glad to have Ron here to kind of be the guiding light along the way, mentor for the industry stuff and for motivation and all that aspect. So yeah.
So you're running the Kickstarter then?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm loving the work. And you're the colorist on this too, or does someone else color?
Eugene Bativu. He is actually not in this country, but he did the colors for the cover. The interior is all going to be grayscale. I did digital grayscale with my computer, kind of Photoshop texture kind of stuff. You'll see some example of the pages further down. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, we had discussed the possibilities when Joe was laying out, what he wanted to do with the project, and we had talked about, well, are we going to do it in color or just black and white? And Joe came up with the idea of, well, let me try my hand at grayscaling this.
Mm-hmm.
And again, 430 pages, that's double duty, if you will. The kicker is when he started showing me finished pages, all right, I was bowled over because it's exactly what this story needs. All right. If we're talking, Universal horror movies and Warner Brothers gangster movies from the 30s and 40s, they're black and white. All right. Mm-hmm. And the grayscaling adds so much mood and atmosphere to every one of the pages. Honestly, and I've told people this, and we've done other, podcasts as we're promoting this project. But honestly, I, as of now, can't see anybody else doing this except Joe. It's like he was made to draw this project.
Yeah, I've studied the work. Well, I don't want to say I studied, but I checked it out, before, earlier today to refresh my memory on it. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at another screen, so it looks like I'm looking away from you guys right now. But yeah, no, I think it's gorgeous, and but this is the way, I think pulp stories should be told. It's you really get that feel of the era. And also I'm colorblind, so I like looking at grayscale.
Oh, okay.
Black and white. One of the things I've started doing in the last, I would say, 2 years is reading more manga because it's all black and white line art, and some grays and stuff. But I'm sorry, what?
No, I was saying, yeah, the black and white would really make a difference then. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, I color, and my colors are always bright because I see bright colors well. Like I can't color soft and create certain moods. Everything always looks bright and happy when you look at my work. But I love working in grays because that works for me. You know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Isn't Tim Sale colorblind as well with the Long Halloween and?
Yeah, he is. I remember because he did was it Tim Sale who did the artwork for the show Heroes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So from my understanding, he did those in like ink, and then it got scanned in, and his assistants or whoever colored them, and then they were printed out on canvas. I believe that was his work.
Yeah, to show up in the show. Yeah.
So
that's just fascinating. Like the whole colorblind aspect, and then still working in the industry and rendering, like still amazing work. Like
yeah, well, I will say I learned to color. I was working for a comic company. I won't say which one it was, and I was coloring some of their covers. Like part of my job was to color, and I'm like, oh crap, what am I going to do? So in my head, I was going to go into Photoshop and just like pull up an older cover of theirs and obviously just color pick whatever. Yeah. But then they gave me a color sheet, and it was basically the mixing of CMYK colors. And it was, okay, this character's skin tone, I remember as a Caucasian, was 20% magenta, 20% yellow. I'm like, okay, that's Caucasian skin tone. So in my head, that's what I start with when I color any Caucasian skin tone. I start with 20% magenta, 20% yellow, and then I just move around and make it lighter or darker, And,
nice. Interesting. Very,
and then they were like, grass is this color in our world. This is this color, I'm like, and I ended up memorizing their color palettes because I was coloring a bit for their like at least adding in the flats I was doing, and I was like, cool. And now and that's I mean I understood color theory, but I never could make it work. In my head, my stuff always looked bad. It was when I did that and I studied and memorized CMYK color palettes for specific comic covers. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And now I know how to color, but I still lean more towards bright colors because I can see them a little better than
right. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love working in grays. I love looking at grays, and I am so thrilled that it's going to like Ron was saying. When you mentioned to me that you love the old Universal monster movies, Ron, and the old gangs. I grew up on those things too. I love them, and everything's black and white. It's all black and white. It's all in grays, and I was like, that's how it had. And then I remembered even before we got to this, I'm like, your book's in grayscale. It makes perfect sense for me.
Yeah.
And,
it is a pulp comic book. That's what it is.
I have some texture brushes too, so it's not just rendering the computer gray tone type thing. It's got a little grit to it, like film grain kind of aspect. So,
and just artist questions. Is this like Photoshop, Clip Studio? What are you using?
It's Clip, but I have it pretty much set up like I did with Photoshop before they went subscription model. So
yeah. No, I'm a Clip Studio guy myself. So
I love that cover. That cover blows me away.
I was gonna say I love this too. This is just gorgeous.
Yeah,
I love the logo.
That was from him before. I subdued it a little bit. Yeah, he sent me an image of the logo and just slapped it on there. So it really fit and it really works.
I love this. I mean, this. I get excited when I see things like this here. Now you've already explained the the background basically here, and this is Rob Davis's work. Okay.
Yes, so we have 2 covers. So in this one, myself and Rob Davis doing covers, and he has a 6-page story.
Okay.
On the inside, and he's worked on some Brother Bones work for quite a long time with Ron, and just really excited to have him as part of the project because that's more content, and that is also like kind of pulling back from.
Well, yeah, Rob did all the interior illustrations for all the Brother Bones pros, collections and novels and whatnot. He loves the character as much as Joe does. And when Joe decided that he was going to launch his Kickstarter, he came up with the concept of breaking it up into 4 parts. All right. And the idea would be the majority of the issue would be from the graphic novel. All right. It would stop at a certain point, and then he would find people to do short bonus strips at the back in each of the 4 volumes. So I suggested, let's ask Rob. Rob's drawn the character a lot of times. Rob jumped on it. And I wrote this little short page thing called Nowhere to Hide. And Rob illustrated it for us immediately and then volunteered to do the alternate cover for us, which you see up here next to the cover Joe's done.
Yeah. Both gorgeous covers. I like the difference in style,
Right.
I kind of, when I look at Joe's, it's kind of a very modern-esque pulp look, and then you look at Rob's and you get that feeling old school, almost like looking at like a spider cover, it's I love that.
Yep.
God, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean we're already looking at, because Joe's got all the artwork done pretty much for the first issue.
Yeah. And
again, we have Rob's bonus feature at the back. So in the last week or so, Joe and I have been talking about who we were gonna, who he was gonna recruit to do a backup feature for the second issue. And he's got this guy he worked with in the past who I think is exceptional and has taken on doing the second short that'll appear in the second issue.
Yeah. Wow.
But for all that to happen, one's got to fly.
And that's what we're gonna take. We're gonna take a look now at the different tiers people can back to see what is how to help you out here. So I mean, PDF $4, great deal. I'm a big supporter of digital comics these days. I love both. I love having something in my hand, but I think having that on the go for people, like on your phone, your iPad, go away on vacation. You know what I mean? Like you just have something you could sit down at the pool and or wherever you are and just sit down and read at any time. I freaking love that. But I love a good physical copy in my hand here. And I'm not gonna lie, there is a backing in me. I got to figure out which tier it is, but you're gonna have a backer right here. Love it.
Yeah,
I appreciate
totally.
that. Well, it's going to be a 40-page book, and we're only looking at $10 for this first one. 40-page main story, and there's a bonus version where we're going to have a bunch of the behind-the-scenes material. I'll have some of Ron's script, and then my thumbnails next to that, as well as some of the process in between pieces. So there's going to be a little bit more material when it comes to the bonus book. I think we are sold out of Rob's original pages. So Rob said that he would sell the actual physical pages that he did for the project. I think we're sold out of that. I'm not 100% sure. And also I illustrated 4 additional pieces, which I'll show after we're done looking at this.
I think, we're pretty much at the halfway mark now.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, all right, I mean, this is Joe's baby, the Kickstarter, right? And when I saw how he put it together, I was really impressed. I really liked what he did. I'm a little gun shy when I look at dollar amounts, okay, and very well aware of how crowded the funding market is out there every single day. But honestly, all right, what he just said in talking about what we're offering here, come on, I mean $10 for a 40-page comic, and I mean that's just minimum. There'll probably be more pages. Yeah. I mean, to me that's I've looked at Kickstarter projects. I've backed several, all right, and I've never found one at a $10 price. All right, I wish I had. I'd back a lot more of them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I number one, I think it's your price points. I'm just looking at everything here. It's amazing. this is a really good deal. The books sound amazing. You know, I mean, it's. Am I looking at the right? Oh, yeah. It's weird. My mouse is in. I see it in two different spots because I'm looking at two screens. Sorry. It was confusing me.
Oh, you're scrolling up and down.
Yeah.
I can see it.
But yeah, no. Listen, this is fantastic. Yeah, we got to share this out and get this out more because I think this is, the story sounds. I use the word fun. Okay, that's the word I'm going to use. Sounds like a fun story in the sense where you have a, you have a character that, I've only heard of through your posts. Okay, he's new to me, but you've been doing this for so long, Ron. You've had all this artwork done. You've had all these books done. Other people writing them. You've had 2 film companies interested. And you had a guy here, Joe, going around saying, "Yes, I'm going to do 130 pages." You have something here that you've built that connects with people on, for whatever reason. And I will let you know as soon as I read what it is for me. Okay, it just sounds like this will be a very fun, entertaining, adventure. Let's call it that. I don't know. It's.
Well, I mean that's the goal. I mean, Mike, honestly, I look at my career and all the things that I've done, all the projects I've worked with. I mean, the licensed properties I've worked with and the fun I've had, doing those kind of things. If some of your viewers aren't familiar, I mean, some of the highlights of my career. I mean, I've worked on things like the Green Hornet, Terminator, Rambo, Peter Pan, Popeye. The range is far and wide. Gene Roddenberry's Lost Universe. There isn't a genre I don't think I've dipped my creative toe in. All right.
Yeah.
But my goal, whenever writing, but it's the primary goal of all, is to write entertaining stories.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I make a joke of it with some of our friends when we get together here, for coffee in town, is that people tend to forget that sometimes they take comics a little way too seriously. All right. Really? I mean, you're supposed to be writing something that is fun. I mean, their tagline when they were born they were funny books. All right. And hey, look, I can write a horror story and still have elements in it that go beyond just that sheer layer. All right. I like to think Tommy Bonello, i.e. becoming Brother Bones, is really a tragic figure. All right. He's like the last person in the world you would consider a hero. Right. So there's that tragedy element in him as well. All right. Which is, I hope, a different layer that people, will read and say, hey, this is more than what I thought it was.
Yeah. Well, that's. I want to ask because you just named a bunch of characters that I love, okay, that you worked on license-wise. Popeye being one of them, Rambo being one that I've never heard anybody say they've worked on Rambo. And I will tell you the Stallone movies were like a big part of my childhood. And I literally watch First Blood like more than 10 times a year. It's just
I will give you a story of Rambo, which I think you'll really appreciate. Mike. I had been working professionally for about 4 years by then. I was involved with writing the Green Hornet and Terminator for Now Comics. I was doing 2 monthly comics, and I think, as you'll recall, Don Thompson and his wife Maggie did a weekly newspaper for the business, for the comic industry, called The Buyer's Guide to Comic, right. And I would get that every week and I'd check out what was going on. And I had read David Morrow's book, Rambo, all right, and the actual book itself. And then I'd seen the movie and the second, and I became a huge fan. I'm a Vietnam vet myself. So what happens is, I get the buyer's guide, and I find out that this little independent comic outfit out of California called Blackthorn is going to do a Rambo comic book. All right. They got the license for it. Okay. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, so they're going to go get some writer who has no military background or experience, all right, has no clue except for the movies. And I saw an opportunity to write a Rambo with a lot more character, more like what Morrill had put in the book itself, all right, and add what I knew of my experiences while over in Vietnam. Okay. I somehow managed to write a letter to David Morrill, and it got to him. Next thing you know, I get a call one night. Ron, this is David Morrill. Okay. And I went, how do you do, sir? Really nice. Thank you for calling me. He said, what can I do for you? I said, well, I'm telling him about the Blackthorn comic. He goes, I don't have too much to do with that. That's Caralco. But he says, I've been told who the editor is. He says, I'll give him a call. Gee, thanks. All right. Mm-hmm. So the next thing you know, I get a call from John Stevenson, the editor of Blackthorn. And we start kicking around what kind of Rambo comic they want to do. At which point I told him, I said, look, no offense to Sylvester Stallone in the movies, all right? But I said, I knew Green Berets personally when I was in Vietnam. These are some of the most intelligent, intuitive, genius warriors you're ever going to find in your life. All right. Let me give you a Rambo that's honest to the Green Berets and pays homage to them. So he was like, what do you want to do? I said, I want to take the origin that Morrill first established in his book and incorporate it. He said, all right, give me 5 scripts as fast as you can. Let's go. And I've got the job. All right. So over the next couple of weeks, I write 5 Rambo scripts, basically telling his origin story from the time he's a kid. All right. He's half Native American. His father's Italian. His mother's a Navajo. And he grows up on a reservation. Then when his mother dies of cancer, his father becomes an alcoholic. He almost kills his father, ends up in juvie court. And the judge basically tells him he has 2 choices, either go to prison or join the military. And that's all out of David, Morrill's background. And he goes in the military. He meets Trotman, becomes a Green Beret, all that good stuff. All right. I send in the 5 scripts. Well, the bottom line is issue number 1 has so much of this background. Stevenson gets the scripts. He loves them. All right. He goes out and finds this young artist that nobody's ever heard of named Aaron Lepresti to draw this. Okay. But first, before they can even start drawing it, Caralco has to approve the scripts. Caralco hated them.
Wow.
Absolutely hated them. All right. Next thing you know, I get a call from Stevenson. I said, he goes, I hate to burst your bubble, Ron, but there wasn't enough action. And I'm like, well, I mean, we're telling a story in 5 issues here. He goes, yeah, but they wanted the movie stuff. They wanted things blown up from page 1 to page 2 to page. I said, you got to be kidding me. He goes, nope. I says, well, your deadline for going to printers is like a couple of weeks away. What are you going to do? He said, well, we've taken your first script and second script and cut out all the characterization stuff and left in only the action stuff. And I knew immediately, oh, this is going down the circular drain. Watch out. And sure enough, they published 1 issue, Lepresti drawing, right? And that was it. It failed miserably, and they never did a second issue. A learning experience. I let it go. I'm frustrated, but what the heck? I've got other projects. I'm still working on Green Hornet and Terminator. And then the phone rings about 2 weeks later after the still snafu, and I pick it up. Hey, Ron, and it's David Morrill. I go, oh, hi, Mr. Morrill. He goes, I found out what happened with the Rambo comic. And I went, yep. He goes, you have a mistake? I said, no, what? He said, you wrote it too good.
Wow. First of all, now I got to look up that comic. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
There's only one issue, only one.
Listen, I mean, just to check it out, love to see it. But yeah, no, that's a very interesting story. Just, I mean, it just talks about the business in general and how things happen, and you know.
Well, when you work on licensed properties, I mean, it's job for hire. It's you know it's
No,
it's work for pay, and you got to do what they tell you to do. You know, you have
Yeah.
no control over that, which is why, again, after like about 6 or 7 years of doing that, I started, writing more of my own character creative stuff to have some more control over what I was doing.
Now let me ask you that, because I mean, I know. Listen, I love that you told me that story. I think it's a great story. But what I had a question kind of that I was leading into with it before, and it's something we were kind of discussing a little bit off air. You mentioned you're doing this for about 50 years, and maybe over 50 years now. And I want to know, as you know, I'm not. I write. I usually plot. I ask someone else usually to do the writing. I write something. But how do you keep your writing like fresh? You have all these licensed characters you've worked on, all these original characters. How do you keep from, repeating yourself? You know what I mean? Like in your, like just as an example, say, you're doing a military character. How do you not pull from what you wrote for Rambo into this new military comic? You know what I mean? Like how you try?
Well, I mean, there are times when you just turn the shift around, okay? And there are times if you open yourself up, especially in the independent market today. We were talking about that, Mike, before we started recording, and I told you I'm working on 7 different projects right now. All right. So I'll give you an example of that. In that, I mean, when I was in high school, I was really, really blessed with a phenomenal Catholic nun English teacher. Okay, I'm a practicing Catholic, and let me add just right here, right now, because this goes to the heart of your question. All right. My gift of storytelling is a gift from the Holy Spirit. It's what it is. Okay, it's nothing but. All right, and I thank Him every day for it. The kicker is, this nun inspired me. She saw the talent I had for writing. She saw even my love of comics and scripting. So every now and then, I mean, I literally read. I'm a ferocious reader. I love so many different things. I love history. I love cinema. All right, biographies or whatever. And I try to incorporate that in my own life experiences in whatever projects I take. Okay. About 3 years ago, an artist I had met, and again, networking is so vital to what we do. An artist I had met at a Boston convention, a guy named Cesar Feliciano, who was getting into the independent market field, is making a name for himself. And we had tried to do a project together. It never materialized. Okay, so you go on with your life. I moved here to Colorado, and out of the blue one day, I get an email from Cesar saying he's got this great idea for a modern day spy thriller, but he needs a writer. Okay. So I said, well, send me what you got. So he sends me a page of text, all right, a formalized concept idea, all right, which is basically called Gin and Tonic. It's a play on the words, all right. Gin is Sammy Gin, he's Chinese, and Tonic is Daya Torakhanova, she's Russian, all right. He is the product of martial art training. She is the project of a secret Russian experiment with artificial wombs and creating a super being. Okay. Get that? 2 different characters, okay, who are both brought up by evil organizations. The Chinese martial arts is a thing called the Black Dragon, and they work out of the Asian Triangle, pushing dope and whatever. And she's working eventually for the KGB and Spetsnaz in the military. All right. Okay. So they're basically 2 assassins, brutal, whatever. The idea that Cesar had was, what would happen if they cross paths with the same target? And in that process, the target is a child. And neither of them can complete the mission because suddenly that little glimmer of a conscience that they both have comes to the surface, all right? To a point where the story just goes a whole different way after that epiphany, all right? Okay. I flipped over that concept and I went, this is insane. This is absolutely crazy. So wrote back to Cesar and I says, I can fill this out. I think this is absolutely amazing. He said, well, let me call you. So he calls me. We ended up spending an hour talking on the phone about where this could go, what we can do with it. I'm taking copious notes while we're talking, right? And then it's up to me. And one of the things that I told him flat out was, I want to make these characters so believable. All right. I want them to be real. I want them to have vulnerabilities, faults, and whatever. Okay. Way prior before they even meet. And that's not going to happen for the first couple issues. And I don't want a page limit. You give me a page limit and I'm walking.
Yeah.
Cesar says, Ron, write it. Issue number 1 took 38 pages.
Okay.
Right. We published it last year. Issue 2, which I finished while he was illustrating it, comes in at 50 pages. He's now illustrating that. And I finished issue number 3, and number 3 goes to 40 some odd pages or whatever. And it's the issue where they finally cross paths. But in issues 1 and 2, I mean, I'm having to research martial arts. I'm having to research, the triangle, the Asian triangle, and all that drug stuff, and doing my homework. I'm having to, research in vitro fertilization and embryonic, concept of creating super babies with plasma instead of just regular globular, hemoglobin. All that research and homework to finally sit down and write a script. By the time I finished that first script, I hadn't had such a rush since I first written The Green Hornet almost 50 years earlier. All right. Because I love characters. I love making them breathe. I love finding out about them. And it's like I tell people before, if you think that you know everything about a character when you're writing, then you're missing the magic. All right. Because i.e. you create them, and I say create, you invent them again. It's this gift. It's this gift from the Lord, all right, that they start to breathe, they start to act, but somewhere along the line, they start telling you things.
Yeah.
Like you're tapping into some other universe someplace, all right, where they're leading you. You thought, oh, I'm going to go this way, and they want to go that way. And if you're an honest writer who believes in the truth of your characters, you've got no other choice. You have Gin and Tonic issue 2's in the works right now. I'm having a blast doing it, but it's why I love to write.
That's awesome. That's all. For those who watch my show regularly know I did the strip, The Whimsical Wiz, for a while. Is my little wizard behind me there. I used to tell people when they ask me about how I write the jokes and how do I write, I go, I don't write it. My characters, they literally have conversations in my head. And when you get that close and connected to a character, and it's happening to me right now in another story I'm doing, and I'm planning to do the 100-page thing I said. It's basically at least 100 right now, might be 120. I'm looking at 5 to 6 chapters at 20 pages a piece. And I'm trying to give myself, I know you didn't want a page limit, but I want to say, here's a page limit so I could really make sure I'm getting everything, without going crazy. Because I know I can, as an artist, I want to show this, and this will be a cool splash page. Let me throw in this inset panel. It doesn't need to be there maybe, but it's just cool to have that image. So I'm trying to give myself a limit. While I'm doing it.
I just listen to you talk, Mike. You come at this the way I do, and one of the things A few years ago, I had a really great opportunity at a local community college here for a couple of years to teach a course in writing comics and graphic novels. And one of the things I would tell my students, I mean, night number one was make sure you're having fun doing this. Because honestly, if you're not having fun writing, how on earth do you expect anybody to have fun reading it? Heaven's sakes, have fun with what you're doing, right? Imbue it with that fun, with that spirit of your soul.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was on a panel yesterday, and it was about like how I got into comics, and about my background, and I, one of the questions, I don't remember the exact question that was asked, but I explained in there how, like, for me, doing art or telling stories in general, it's just it's a part of me, and I have no choice in the matter. I want to get these stories out, and I'm gonna do, if that means I have to learn something new or whatever, I'm going to learn how to do that. You mentioned how you're practicing Catholic. This is a gift from God. I won't go into religion or anything, but I do believe in God, and I believe my skill with this is a gift from God. I believe, it doesn't matter what religion you are. I'll go with Catholic right now, but I wouldn't need to go to church if I have my pencil in my hand. I'm at my drawing because I'm doing what God wants me to do, and I'm whatever.
Sure. I mean, see, my thing is this, Mike. Okay, I mean, it's just I wouldn't be. There's no way I'd have been this successful or had the career I've had. All right, if it wasn't something He wanted for me. Honestly, okay. I mean, the Our Father says, Thy will be done. Okay, His will is always done. All right. I mean, the concept of faith is understanding that even when you get setbacks, even when you get rejections, okay, and how do you handle those? Sometimes those are the life lessons that grow us up, mature us a little bit more. All right, when we fail. But the truth of the matter is, my life's been a blessing. I mean, it's been a long life so far. It seems as exciting as it was 50 years ago when I was a 13-year-old kid reading comic books and dreaming of having a career. And it's all happened. I cannot thank Him enough. I could spend the rest of my life on my knees saying thank you. But I don't, because I've got other ideas that need to get written.
No, that's awesome. I mean, I love hearing things like that. I mean, I won't go into everything because I could talk about what I talked on the panel yesterday, and it would continue this conversation here, and that's something we could do off air at another time. But yeah, it's just amazing, like how we, how people go about their work and the reason they continue to do it. All I'm going to say is, and my audience knows this, I grew up with medical conditions. I still have my medical issues. It has kept me in and out of the industry because sometimes I had to stop for other reasons or whatever, but I always come back, and it's... Mike,
I've survived 3 bouts of cancer.
Wow. Well, I'm very glad you're here and doing what you're doing. I'm a 2-time kidney transplant recipient.
Oh, God bless you. God bless you. Yeah.
And my second transplant left me as a type 2 diabetic, left me with arthritis in my knees and hips, back issues, and I had a quadruple bypass a few years ago.
You're a fighter, my friend. You're a fighter. I commend you on that.
But that's and art has always been the thing to get me through it. Creating comics, creating stories, and I tend to lean towards humor because obviously with everything I just told you, my life's pretty serious. So.
If it don't kill you, it makes you stronger, my friend.
Exactly.
It does. It does. Amen.
I want to, I feel bad. We've been leaving Joe out of the conversation a little bit. I'm sitting here watching him draw another version. Joe, can you bring back the picture? We didn't get a chance to talk about the last scene. I love that. Now, is that going to be something you will add into the Kickstarter? Maybe a trading card you turn that into or something, or?
Probably do this one as a card. I have a couple mini print add-ons that people can do. I do have 4 reward tiers for Let me get these other ones. I've just kind of been pumping these out.
You know what? I'm going to
few
give you the
weeks.
screen. Ron and I are going to disappear for a moment. I want to give you the
Yeah,
screen so we can check
if
out
you're
your
good.
artwork.
Please.
Oops, hold on. Hit the wrong button.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Blow it up.
There you go. Okay, go for it.
All right. So yeah, these are going to be original traditional pieces, pencil. Like I have recorded me making most of them, or they've been on while I'm on a show. And these pieces are, I believe, the $75 something. It's the after the bonus material. It's the
Okay.
next tier up. And at last I checked, I only had one backer at this level, but I will ship one of these pieces out, and probably going to go whoever backed first. So there's the first person that backed one, I'm going to let them choose which one they want and ship that out to them, and then I'll have these pieces. But yeah, I'm working just on this
Oh,
traditional
love
level
that.
here,
I
and this is
absolutely love that.
That is
That's
gorgeous.
just awesome.
And just curious,
very
are
fun.
you, the work you're doing on this book, or just work in general? Are you a traditional artist normally? Do you? I mean, I know you did the grayscale on the computer, but like, do you draw traditionally or digital?
For the most part, I believe issue one. I did eventually switch over to digital somewhere in between issue 1 and 2, just because of lifestyle and just trying to get the actual work done when it comes to other work. Because the full-time artist thing is not quite there yet, because it's
It is.
hard life and money is a real thing. So yeah, anyone will understand. So yeah, I have the majority of the work, at least for issue 1, is traditional, and then for issue 2, I think about half of it is traditional, and then I'll do probably 6 pages from issue 3 and then issue 4 as well, in the traditional as well. And then like you said, with the grayscale, it is all digital because it's all scanned in, and then that's how that's working. So,
Okay.
yes and no. So
Yeah, no, I'm just asking because one of my New Year's resolutions was to stay off the computer as much as possible. So I went back traditional this year, starting the beginning of this year. But I've noticed that for myself, I'm doing a lot of my layouts and roughs digital, and then I print them up and I just light box them onto the paper so that I can, and then I do all the inking and some penciling if I need to.
Yes, actually, I bought a big printer, which you can't see, but it's down over there. I bought a big printer that can print on the 11 by 17, so that way I can do the digital roughs with the blue scale, and then print it up, lower the opacity, print it out, and then redo some pencils if they need to, or get on the inks on that. So yes, exactly, kind of meshing all the methods
I actually
together.
was it at the beginning of the year. I bought the printer that's behind me. That when I mean, you can't see me. I'm off screen right now. But when I bring it back, but dude, I just love watching you work. I'm gonna go back for all of us, but I know you're working on this right now, and this is your big project. But do you have any of your own characters or anything that you have like a personal project? Yeah. Anything you can talk about?
I have. Well, with the last interview, we also talked to some folks that I'm working on for a project called Entropy and Extropy, and so this is 2 of the characters from that. This is Grave Extropia and Lord Entropy, or Malik. That's a project that we're kind of continuing on for Majestic Comics. That is another company that I've worked with for a bit. I helped design these characters, although they're not 100% mine. I do have several projects that I'm trying to build of my own, but again, it's slow going, and I'm getting there. So I will have more announcements as I go. All my social media stuff is structure.arts, which is actually kind of based off of what my character will be for this project. He's going to be above fourth dimensional, like not elemental type character, but kind of a conceptual framework character inside the story. that can build and retract the structure of entities and things. But digression, sorry. Yes, I'll have with Brother Bones. It is going to be still another 3 issues after this issue, and then I will be looking to hopefully get a couple of the projects that I've been putting on the back burner for so long into motion and get those things working
That
on.
sounds awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you though, this week
Yes.
there would be a sketch I'm going to send you guys because I love this character so much. I just want to draw him myself just for fun. So I'll be
Oh
sending
yeah,
some.
awesome. Yeah, we'll post it, and actually, if I can, I'll talk with you later, and maybe I don't know if you'd want to do a cover for the next issue.
So,
or
yeah, I'm happy
see
to
how
talk
it
about
works
anything, but
out.
that's another conversation off the air. But
Yeah, that's off the.
I think
Yeah.
this guy is great. I think it's you know what some of it is though, and I think this is like as an artist, what's like why I'm like so excited. You know, you got that whole trench coat thing. It's almost like he's got a cape, and that's always fun to draw. You know, and then you got the skull mask on him.
Right, you got that.
Yeah, Ghost Rider. Almost,
Yeah,
but it's got this Batman-esque kind of feel to him as like a because you described the world to me, and I feel like it's this guy who's out at night, on top of roofs, looking down on people, and having to I see him because he's undead, he could do things probably and survive that normal humans can't. You know what I mean? So for me, I get that excitement in my head, and all of a sudden I go to this guy is going to be fun. He's going to be. This is the one I need to draw.
That's why I insisted Ron let me work on this project here. So yep, 100%. Yep.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, as things stand right now,
yeah,
we have got 14 days left. And like I said earlier, we're pretty much at the halfway mark. We have still got quite a few coins and pennies to collect.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe's going to be around for the finale, but I will not. Because I've got another week here, and come October the 6th, I'm packing up my bags and heading back east for a 3-week vacation.
That's
which is
nice.
Long overdue. So, yeah, hey, we're really, beating the drums for Brother Bones and trying to get the word out. And hopefully, the second half of this program will be as successful as the first half really was. We're absolutely grateful for everybody who's supported us this far. That's pretty amazing for, like I said, a character that isn't as well known, but I'm kind of hoping that after this campaign, that's going to change again.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, I just added the link to the Kickstarter in the comments. So I hope everyone watching now and in the future clicks on the link and heads on over within the next 14. Well, it says 13 days to go. So within the next 13 days, and back this project. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I'm not gonna lie. I think I know what tier I'm gonna do. I won't say it publicly, but I already know that it'll either be tonight or tomorrow. I'm backing, and you'll have something here. And I promise I'll share this also not just through my Facebook, but also on my Instagram, where I tend to do a lot of stories. And I'll make sure this gets posted.
Mike, thanks for having us aboard. Really appreciate it a great deal. And hey, Joe was talking about other projects, and I was spilling the beans. I got to show you this because you'll love it.
Go for it. What's that? Oh, this is gin and tonic. Wow.
Issue 1 of Gin and Tonic.
That looks awesome.
Oh, yeah. Cesar Feliciano is an amazing artist.
Yeah, I feel I know that name. I either seen his work outside of that.
Oh yeah, he's had several graphic novels and done his own Kickstarter campaigns in the last couple of years. So yeah, he's making a name for himself in the independent community big time, and it's a joy working with him.
That is amazing. That is awesome. Yeah, no, really, really nice stuff here. I think we're going to wrap it up, although I can sit and watch Joe draw for the next hour or two. It's fantastic. You need a YouTube page if you don't have one, and just have people watch you draw. This is freaking great. But yeah, you guys, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for sharing everything you shared. I'm gonna have to go look at that Rambo comic now for just my own.
I'll send you a digital copy of the cover to help you
Okay, I appreciate that.
search it out.
Yeah. But yeah, listen, good luck with this. I promise I will share this out over the next few days as much as I can. This is a really awesome project. I think the work looks great. The story is sounds amazing. I'm just looking forward to getting it, and I hope to see more work out of both of you. You know, that's you guys keep on doing that.
There doesn't seem to be an end in sight, Mike.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I
All
like
right.
to hear. So with that, if you guys want to hang out after for a few, we can talk offline. But you guys, everybody who watched live, everybody who's watching in the future, thank you guys for coming and watching. If you are watching this within the next 13 days, as today is September 28th, 2025, please click the link and go look up and back Brother Bones on Kickstarter. All right. Again, Ron, Joe, thank you for taking time out of your day, hanging out with me. I had a lot of fun chatting and learning more about both of you and the work that you guys are doing.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much.
And I'll see you guys all next week with another